Hello everyone. It is the end of a month. Well, it's the middle of September, but that means it was the end of August at some point, which means that it is time to do my August reading wrap up. First, stats. I've read 6 books. I read 6 books in August. 3 of them were romance. 1 was a crime fiction, or at least that's what I'm putting it as. 1 was a literary fiction, and then 1 was a mystery thriller. And I read 2,500 pages. Don't we love that number? I love that number because it's just an even number. But yes, those are the stats. Now I'm going to go into the actually no. I'm going to go into the books that I was supposed to read, and then we're going to go and talk about the books that I actually read. Okay, so I know that for this TBR, a playlist picked my TBR, so I'm not going to try and guess like which songs were which because I don't remember. I'm going to be so honest. I remember like maybe a couple songs. Other than that, I don't remember what songs were with which books. Okay, so The Wall of Winnipeg and Me was on this TBR. Did read this. You guys saw me read this. Everything by Nicole Yoon. Did read this book as well. Normal People by Sally Rooney. Did read this. You guys saw me read this. The Reappearance of Rachel Price by Holly Jackson. Did read this. You guys also saw me read this. And now we're getting into disappointments. The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V. Schwab. Did not read this. That's okay. It's okay. You know how I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna film a video with the Madeline Miller books? Well, I didn't because I didn't read them. Once again, it's okay. It's okay. And then lastly, we have Shatter Me by Tahira Mafi. Did not read this. Honestly, this was a book that it wasn't very high on my list to read. So I kind of knew this wasn't going to be read, but it's okay. So now we're going to get into the books that I actually read, going in order of when I read them. Okay, the very first book I read was Billy Summers by Stephen King. As we know, this was on my July TBR, and I started it in July, but by the time I got like to July or to August, it wasn't gonna be done. So we have Billy Summers by Stephen King. This book I felt was so different from other Stephen King books I read. It's like there's not much horror thriller aspects in this book. There is a bit of mystery, I will give it that, but I definitely think this is just more of a crime fiction because you are following Billy Summers on his like kind of last mission. Billy Summers, our main character, is an hired assassin. So basically he's hired to kill, but he only kills people who deserve it, only kills bad people. And he is planning on leaving this world, this job, and he has one last job to do. And this job kind of, he has everything planned out, but this job kind of brings up unexpected things in his life, and he meets this girl. What's her name? I forget her name, but he meets this girl, and they kind of develop a romance. I want to let you guys know because some people hear romance and it's just like, yes, it is not a huge part of the book at all. So don't go into this book expecting just that because you're not going to get it. But this book, you're literally just following him. It's basically like a case study on him, and I loved it. And it was just so different from the other things that I've read from Stephen King, and I gave it 5 stars, and I loved it. Because you kind of don't really see books that are going into the perspective of an assassin, so it was nice to kind of read that and kind of see what goes through people's heads when they are doing things of that sort. So yeah, 5 stars. Really enjoyed it, which I don't think anyone is surprised about. I love Stephen King. This is also one of Stephen King's most loved books from what I've seen. Everyone loves this book, so I'm one of them. It was great. The next book I read was Everything by Nicole Yoon. I don't remember, because I think at some points in the video that I read this in, this book was in how many books I can read in 24 hours. I read this book in that video, and I think I gave 2 different ratings. I think I gave it a 3 at one point, and then I think I gave it a 3.5 at another point. This is a 3.5. I'm gonna give it a 3.5 because I liked it. I liked what I read, but like I've said multiple times, I knew the story. I watched the movie multiple times, so I knew what was gonna happen. Nothing in here was really new besides like some of the stuff that wasn't in the movie. But other than that, like, I basically knew everything that was gonna happen. But it was nice to see it in book form. It was nice to see like different details in the book that wasn't in the movie. So it was enjoyable. I'd recommend it. It was just that I knew it was gonna happen. So kind of the shock factor of me giving it anything other, like anything above like a 3.5, was just not gonna happen. But it was good. It was cute. I liked it. Oh, should I tell you what it's about? We're following Madeline Whittier, or as she's referred to in this book, Maddie. She is an 18-year-old, and she has this disease. I think it's called SCID, and basically she's allergic to everything. So she's kind of been stuck in her house for her entire life because she is sick. And this family moves in next door, and she meets Ali, and they start conversating, and they end up developing this relationship with each other, and it kind of leads her to do a lot of things that she was once scared to do. And I just think it was really cute. And if you guys have never read this book or watched this movie, the plot twist is gonna get you. It's gonna get you, because there is a plot twist in this book. Even though it is a young adult romance, there is a plot twist, and it will get you. But 3.5, it was cute. The next book, The Wall of Winnipeg and Me by Mariana Zapata. Y'all saw how I ranted and raved, not even ranted, how I raved about this book in my last video. Raved. I ate this book up. I can't sit here and lie and be like, no, I did. It was so good. It was good. I gave this 5 stars. Let me just put that out there. I did give this book a 5 stars. This book is a sports romance following Aiden. I knew it was an A. Aiden and Vanessa. Aiden is a defensive end. I always confuse defensive end and defensive back when I'm talking about this book. It's a defensive end. He's a defensive end, and he's the top defensive end in the National Football Organization, which is like the equivalent to the NFL. And he has this assistant housemaid, whatever you want to call her, named Vanessa, and she ends up quitting. At the very beginning of the book, she quits. She's like, I'm not doing this. I deserve better, and I'm leaving. So she leaves. And then Aiden goes to her house and begs her to come back. Yeah, that's all I'm going to tell you, because there is another type of plot in this book that you kind of don't really figure out until a little bit in. But guys, this is the second book I read by Miss Mariana Zapata, and I think this one's going to be my favorite. One, because it's about football, and I do enjoy football more than other sports, because I do understand football more than other sports. So if it's gonna be a sports romance that I'm going to like a lot, it's gonna be a football romance. So that's one thing. Another thing, this book went a lot more into like the problems in their personal lives individually as well as together, more than I think it did in Culty. And I do like a book that makes me feel. I do. And this book brought up a lot of feelings for me. And I just thought that it was a powerful book in the way that she was talking about a lot of different struggles that our characters were going through. Like there's familial struggles, but there's also like struggles and control. There's a lot of things going on in this book. So I think that if you're gonna read this book, you should check trigger warnings. But I do think it is a good book. It is a brick of a book. I'm not gonna lie, a lot of things could have been cut out of this book and it didn't need to be this long. But I'm not gonna lie, I enjoyed all 665 pages of this book. I surely did. But if you guys are going into this book, in Culty there was a lot more soccer talk. In this book, you are not getting as much football talk. You're kind of getting the behind the scenes of what a football player's life is like, and not as much like game days or whatever. You're getting a lot of behind the scenes, especially since our main character is going through a lot of injuries. You're seeing a lot of that. So if you're going into this being like, oh, I'm going to read about football games, no you're not. But I enjoyed it. As someone who enjoys a sports romance and a heavy-hitting book, this did it for me. The next book I read was an anticipated read for me. It's not a new read by any means. I don't think it is, at least. No, this book was published in 2022, so it's not new, but I needed to read this in order to read the last book in the series, and that book was Mixed Signals. I gave Love Life Arms 4.75, 4.5, around that area. I gave In the Weeds a 5. This one is a 5. I just, the way BK just writes their books, it's just, I don't know I don't know what they put in them. I genuinely don't know, but there's something in them. I loved it. Caleb is a freaking golden retriever of a man. Love that. The fact that Layla is a baker speaks to my heart. I do love to bake. So and they get a dog, guys. They get a dog, and I have a dog, and I'm a dog lover. I'm obsessed with dogs. So this book was kind of just like giving me everything that I needed. So in this book, we are following Caleb and we are following Layla. And basically, Layla has been trying to find love because she thinks that she's going to be alone forever. And so she's trying to find love, and all of these dates have just been going wrong. And then we have Caleb, who basically all of his relationships, like by the third date, the ladies are just like, you're doing a lot, let me just not. So then they like break up with him, and he's just like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong, and she's like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. So they do this thing for 1 month. They have this agreement where they agree to fake date, and we always know how that goes. They end up catching feelings. I like this book because, one, I like the family dynamic of Caleb. He is from a Hispanic family, and they are a lot in the best way possible. And so his family is a big part of this book. We also see characters. We see Stella, we see Luca, we see Beckett, we see Evie, and we see, what is his name? We see Charlie, which is Stella's stepbrother or half-brother. And he's going to be in the last book, guys. I'm so excited, but that's not what we're here to talk about. This book, we see a lot of those other characters, which makes me happy because I just love all the characters in this book. I love the families in this book, so it was nice to see them again. This book, I've always said about B.K. Morrison's books, the way that they write third act breakups do not stress me out and make me upset because they're realistic. This one was realistic, and so it made me enjoy this book a lot more than I enjoy other romance books because third act breakups mess me up. So I enjoyed this. This was a 5 stars. It was really cute. Also, if you guys are wondering, this one takes place in the fall. No, it doesn't. This one takes place in the summer because he's a summer school teacher. This one takes place in the summer. Also, can we just talk about how supportive Caleb is of Layla? Can we just talk about it? Can we please talk about how supportive he is of her? How nice he is to her? Can we talk about it? Because I loved it. it was beautiful. But yes, Mixed Signals by Vicky Borsic. This is the third book in the series. Technically, you can read the books out of order. I would not, because you are seeing couples from the previous books. Do not read them out of order. You can, but don't. As someone who's read 3 out of 4 of them, do not do that. But yeah, this is so cute. The last one is a fall book. It takes place in the fall. We're in the fall here. Does it feel like it? Not really, but we are in the fall. So this was the 4th book of the month, and it was a 5 stars. The second to last book, I'm not gonna lie, this book, it's Normal People by Sally Rooney. You guys saw my thoughts about this book when I first read it. It was a 3 star, and not because it was bad, because I don't think the book was bad. It's purely personal why I didn't enjoy this book, and that's just because it had a lot of my triggers. That's the only reason why. The book was beautifully written. It just showed a lot of toxic environments and a lot of situations with people that personally triggered me. So a lot of people are not gonna have the same reaction to this book as I did, because a lot of people just are not gonna have the same triggers as I do. So it was purely a me thing, because I did get some things out of this book, as you can see by the tabs. It's just that I guess the bad outweighed the good, in my opinion. However, I think I would read another Sally Rooney book, because her writing style I think was really good. The fact that she doesn't use quotations didn't bother me at all. It was just this book in particular that I was not crazy about, and I have seen people that are like, you either love or you hate this book, and I'm like straight in the middle, because I thought it was good, but I didn't love it. So, but it wasn't a horrible book. In this book, we are following Connell and Marianne, and they have this kind of relationship, situationship thing, because there was never a point where they were like, yeah, we're together. It was a situationship, let's be honest. And we're following them their last year of high school and then through college. And this book just basically depicts a relationship where the two of them just can't let each other go, and they have this type of connection where it's kind of not helpful to either of them, but they're trying to hold on to it because it's kind of the only thing that they know. Marianne is rich, Connell is not, and in fact his mom works for Marianne, and we are kind of seeing their dynamic. That plays a lot into their dynamic and a lot of insecurities that both of them have. The family dynamics in this book are also super important. But yeah, I think that's all I want to say about this book, because I feel like it's a literary fiction, so it's not like you're supposed to get stuff out of this book. It's not a romance. It is definitely a literary fiction with a romance plot. It was okay. It just wasn't my thing. It wasn't my cup of tea, and that's okay. That's fine. Anyway, yeah, this was a 3 star. I would still recommend it. I would just check your trigger warnings before reading this book, as I say for literally every other book, but especially this book, because this book could definitely get some people. The last book of the month was, I don't know if I gave this a 4 star or a 4.5 star. So I just looked. I gave this book a 4 star, and it is The Reappearance of Rachel Price by Hallie Jackson. This was the first Hallie Jackson book I read, and this made me want to read her other books, which is a good thing. It's a great thing. So The Reappearance of Rachel Price is basically, it's a mystery thriller, and we are following, for the most part, Belle Price, which is basically her real name is Annabelle, but she goes by Belle, and her mom disappeared 16 years ago, and that's all she's known, because she's 18 at this point. So she was really young when her mom disappeared, and her mom disappeared while she was in the car with her. So we basically are following Belle, and her family is doing this documentary about the disappearance of Rachel Price. But while they are filming this documentary, Rachel Price comes back. She comes back, hence the name, The Reappearance of Rachel Price. And now everyone's kind of just like figuring out like, well, why is she here? Guys, when I tell you the plot twists in this book were crazy, they were crazy, like actually insane. I will not lie though, I will not lie, for the first like 60%, I was kind of just like, okay, all right. Like, I really did not care for the characters at all, did not care for the plot at all. Like, it was definitely hard for me to get into this book, but once we got to that 60%, I was there. I was sat, guys. I was sat. I wanted to read this book 24/7 once I got to that point, because like everything was going, like it was a lot. But once again, I feel like every book that I read this year, or not year, what the heck, this month, had a lot of books that included like family dynamics as like the main like point of a book. And this one, y'all, the family dynamics, pay attention, please. That's all I ask. Just pay attention. I don't want to tell you guys anything else because I don't want to spoil anything, because this book, shock factor is your best friend in this book. So it was a 4-star. The only reason why it's not higher than 4 stars is because it took me so long to get into the book. But guys, really good, really good. If you guys are looking for a taste test of Holly Jackson, I think this would be good, because I don't know if she has any other like standalones. I think 5 Survive is by her too, and that's a standalone. But this one was on Book of the Month and I got it, so that's why I read this first. But I think I will definitely be reading more of her books because the writing style was good. Another thing, the pacing was weird. For like the first part, it was real slow, and then it just got boom, then it was really fast. So that bothered me a little bit, but yeah. So that's why it's not a 5 stars. I didn't really get into it until like 60%, and also the pacing was weird. But other than that, good book. Twist got me. Didn't guess that at all. But yeah. So those are the 6 books that I read in the month of August. It's so crazy that we're already in September. In fact, September is halfway done when I'm filming this. But it's like, it's crazy. The year's gonna be over in like 3 months. Anyways, if you guys have read any of the books that I have talked about today, tell me how you feel about them, because I want to know other people's feelings on these books, especially normal people, because I feel like that could have a lot of mixed opinions. So tell me how you feel about them. Also, out of the books that I didn't read that I was supposed to read, tell me which ones I should read like ASAP. But yeah, that's the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you next Tuesday.